Shiva Bhargo Devasya Dimahi. Gayatri Mantra da Sloka, Yagnavakya Maharishi says, Gayatri Mantra da Slokam, Devasya Sabitur Madhye Bhargono Diyaya, Kramat Pachodayat Tad Varenyam Dimahitya Anvaya Kramaha. Yagnavalkya Maharishi in the above Gayatri Mantrada sloka says that we are praying Bharga or Shiva, who is the core of the sun god. Further, the meaning for the word Bharga is stated as Rudra or Shiva in Maitraniam Tripurathavanam and Svatashvatara Upanishads, as also in Amaragnigantu or dictionary as Bharga Triambaka Tripurantakaha. As synonyms for Shiva. The direct meaning of the Gayatri Mantra is that we are praying Bharga, i.e. Shiva, who is invoking our intelligence. The meaning given by those other than Shaivites that they are concentrating on some one, and worshipping not him, but his tejas or light, which is achitanam, not having life, is not correct, and in Sanskrita termed as doshabhusyatam, or full of doshas or inconsistencies. For a full discussion on and understanding of the Gayatri Mantra, the readers are advised to go through the author's book, Matavinoda Charcha, in the shape of an intelligent discussion by Shaiva, Vaishnava, and Advaita scholars. Sruti Mantra, Tadakshara Dvidva Somya Bhava. This Sruti mantra says that Shiva alone was there at the time of creation, unaffected, aksharam, meaning not liable for destruction, and identified as the source of birth and the place of all the jivas, i.e. Jivapati Shtanam, and from Shiva alone the ancient Prajna Shakti or cosmic energy gushed out at the time of creation into this universe. Sruti mantras 1. Sha ikshate Lokanno sruja iti. 2. Sokamayata bahusyam prajaye yeti. These Sruti mantras speak of the materialistic things required for the mundane world before creation by Shiva. Therefore Shiva alone is the Karta or creator of this universe. Sloka 4. Viswadiko Rudra ityadananta Sruti sassanat Pramiyate Purano Upa Bhumatidat Karanam Shivaha. In this sloka, the author says that Rudra is superior to this universe. This fact is stated in the Vedic texts and Upanishads at various places, reiterated time and again in other texts like the Puranas and the Upapuranas, etc., that Shiva is the root cause or Karanam of this universe. Now the author is proceeding to give authoritative quotations in support of this statement. Sruti mantra, Visvadiko Rudro, Mantrapanishad mantra, Visvadiko Rudro Maharishihi, Eka Eva Rudro na Dvitiyaya Taste. These Sruti and Mantrapanishad mantras say that Rudra is superior to this Vishwam or universe. This universe was only a part of his creation, and he alone was there before creation, and none else was there before him. Therefore, from the above quotations, Shiva is Jagat Karanam, or the root cause of this universe. Skandama Apurana Sutta Samhita na Kinchana Shivadanyam na Kinchana Shivatparam Shivatiriktam Nahitcha Sharvam Shiva Mayam Jagat Sutta Samhita Puravishvanadayo Devasurve Shambhuya Karanam Vicharya Jagato Vipra Samyavista Chetasaha Ativa Sukkadam Sudam Raudram Lokam Samavishan Teshamadye Mahadevaha Samsaradravako Haraha Rudraha Parama Karunya Svayam Virabo Dvijaha Adrustra Purvam Tam Drushva Deva Vishnu Purogamaha Pranipatya Mahadeva Mapurachen Ko Bhavaniti Subravid Bhagavan Rudraha Pasunam Patiriswaraha Vartamicha Bhavisyami Namato Anyosti Kachana Manmaya Shakti Samkultam Jagaditat Chartaram. Once, at the beginning of the creation, all the celestial gods, including Vishnu, congregated and discussed to find out the root cause of this universe, and the person responsible for this creation. And not being able to find an answer, they entered the exhilarating, pure, and happy abode of Rudralokam, or Kailasham. Rudralokam is defined as the place where everybody is contented, and there are no pangs of birth or death, shoka or moha, agony or confusion, and no desires or difficulties whatsoever, and everybody therein stays in peace, happiness, and tranquility. Mahadeva, or God of the gods, or Rudra Pious, reliever of the chains of the mundane world, appeared before them on his own, whom the gods have not seen earlier, and asked him as to who he is. Mahadeva stated that he alone was there in the beginning of the creation, and continues to be there in the present, and will be there in the future. He is called Pashupati, or Master of the entire universe, consisting of Devatas, i.e. celestial gods, Manavas, or human beings, and Rakshasas, or demons, and all other living beings, including plants, insects, animals, etc. In these three worlds, who are commonly called as Pashus, and he is the master, or Pashupati. This world is a creation by his magic power, which is under his control. Therefore the ancient Hindu texts, i.e. Smrutis and other Puranas, Upapuranas, and other texts, it is stated that Shiva is Jagat Karanam, or the root cause of this universe. Shiva alone is to be worshipped among the gods, or Sharvapasyavatam for Shiva. Sloka 5. Dhyayit esanmitye shamarabhya sikhaya paraha sharvamanyat parityaja sharvaiswaraya samanditaha. In this sloka, another Upanishad by the name Atharvasika is quoted as saying that it starts mentioning that Ishana, that Shiva alone is to be worshipped or prayed to, and closes by saying that all other gods have to be rejected before him, because Shiva alone has to be revered, adored, and worshipped. He is the possessor of all wealth and abundance. The word Ishvaryam, or wealth, is derived from Ishvara, or Shiva only. Atharvashika Upanishad mantra, Kinta Dhyayanam Kavadyata Kascha Yayaha. Three important questions are raised in the beginning of this Upanishad by three great sages, Papalada, Angirasha, and Sanat Kumara. While praying to God, what is to be stated first, how to worship, and to whom to be worshipped. The great sage Atharvana said that Shiva alone has to be worshipped, stating Om first, followed by Namaha and Shivayaha. The five letters called Panchakshari are Nama Shivaya. Shiva is Omkara, Parabrahma, Avuma, and Arthamatra, half, are the four padas of Omkaram, denoting Brahma, Vishnu, Rudra, and Sadashiva, and the fifth prada is Nadam, or Shiva, which can be experienced only by continuous chanting of the mantra. The counting of time started with Sadashiva, down with Rudra, Vishnu, and Brahma following, which is the genealogical tree. Shiva is above time and space, and is not conditioned by it, say the Shrutis. This is explained in detail in the introduction to the commentary written on Mandukya Upanishad by Sripati Pandit Aradhyulu Sarabhadyulu, AD 1900 to 1990, a great sage and praised by his followers as Abhinava Badanarayana Upanishad Vyakyatro Chakravarti, and a great exponent of the Shivadvaita Siddhanta in the 20th century, and former Pitadipati of Shaiva Mahapitam Vijayavada for a number of years till his death in 1990, and who understood and digested the author's Shaiva Siddhanta more than anyone else. A student of Sri Nagalinga Sastri Guru and author of 1. Triyambaka Bhasyam, 2. Dasavadana Vivekam, 3. Manavoda Sayujam, 4. Commentaries on Kena Mandukya, Ishavasya, Katha, and Svadesvatara Upanishads. 9. Shivamedam. 10. Sanyavandanam, Shiva Puja, etc., which can be obtained by writing to the secretary Shaivamatha Pitham, Vijayavada. 11. This is reproduced separately in the introduction to Shaiva Siddhanta. Sloka 6. Deyastu Shiva Evayaka Samapta Adarvani Srutihi Ityatta Shiva Evayaka Samupasya Itiryate. In this sloka, the author is quoting the Atharva Shika Upanishad mantra, stating that Shiva alone has to be worshipped. Atharva Shika mantra. Daitishanam Pradyayi Tavyam Sharvamidam Brahma Vishnu Rudrendra Sampasuyante Saravani Chandriyani Sahabhutayir Nakaram Karanam Datta Dhyata Karanam Tu Dhyaya Sharva Swaraya Shiva Ekodeyaya Shivankara Sharvamanyat Parityaja Samatva Adarva Sikha. In this mantra, it is stated most emphatically that Ishana, or Shiva alone, has to be worshipped again and again, rejecting all others. This entire universe, including Brahma, the creator, Vishnu, the protector, Rudra, the destroyer, and the celestial god Indra, and all Indriyas and Bhutaganas, are only created by Shiva and not by others. The root cause for this creation is Shiva, and Shiva is not created by anyone else. Time and space are not imposed on him. He is concerned with creation, protection, and destruction of this universe, being the Jagatkarta, endowed with all riches, and bears the name Sharveshvara, and scatters happiness and abundance to all in this universe, which is his creation. He alone has to be worshipped in timeless and endless space, or Chidakasham. And with these words, Atharva Shika Upanishad ends. The significance of this statement is that Atharva Shika Upanishad, being the last Upanishad in the last of the four Vedas, Atharvana Veda, stresses the point that there is nothing else to be told apart from what is stated, and hence concludes that all Vedas only eulogize Shiva in various forms. Therefore it is established that Shiva Pashana, or worshipping Shiva alone, is stated in all the Vedas, rejecting all other forms of worship. Chapter 3. The importance of wearing bhasma and the greatness of bhasma. Sloka 7. Vihitatvat Sharva Vedai Rinishadbhi Shastra Jalalkai Purunariti Hasachavi Mukti Pralakatbata. Sloka 8. Sistai Ranushti Tatvat Chanit Yat Vat Dharmamulataha Vaidika Bhasma Sandaryam Sharva Papa Pransanam. In this sloka, the importance of bhasma, or white ash, is stated. Bhasma, or white ash, is specially prepared, and the procedure is extensively stated in Bhasmaja Balapanishad, Siddhanta Shikamani, etc., by burning cow dung, and has to be applied on the body of a person every day. This is ordained by all the Vedas, all Upanishads, all Dharma Shastras, all Puranas, and all Upapuranas. Therefore, in this land of karma and karma bhumi, the followers of the Vedas have to apply bhasma on their body, and they are absolved of all their sin by doing so. All learned persons, chaste and pure at heart, wear bhasma daily as nityavidi, and thereby called protectors of dharma, or the righteous path. Rigveda mantras. 1. Gadapatim Medha Patim Rudram Jalashabishjam Unoviran Arpaya Beshadje Bishakta Mantavam Bishadjam Surnomi. 2. Famadyo Bishak Bishadjam Basmashambo Samulagayasman Vapupurlagavaya. The Beshaja expression in the above Rigveda mantras has been commented upon by Adi Shankaracharya as an application of bhasma, or white ash, on the body. O Shankara, you are the first Vaidya, or doctor of this universe, to cure the ills of mankind. Give us Bhasma, the remedy for this, for the ills of the mundane world, say the Rig Veda mantras. Yajurveda mantras. 1. Bhutyena pramaditavyam. 2. Agnirbhasmasi. These Yajurveda mantras ordain that one should always be attentive to apply Bhasma on the body every day, and should not neglect or procrastinate under any circumstances. It is a Nitya-vidhi or daily ritual. O Bhasma, you are born from the fire, says the mantra, indicating purity. Samaveda mantra. Bhasmanapadam abhivapatti santa. Bhasma Jabbala Upanishad and Atharva Siropanishad Agniriti Bhasma Vayoriti Bhasama Jalamiti Bhasama Stalamiti Bhasama Vyometi Bhasma Sharvam Havayidagam Bhasma Ityadi. In the Atharviniya Bhasma Jabalopanishad and Atharvasira Upanishad, the greatness of Bhasmadharana is explained in detail. It is an embodiment of the Panchabhutas, i.e. fire, wind, water, earth, and space, and has therefore to be applied on the body daily. Dig Bhasmarahitam Palam Digramama Shivalayam Diganisarchanam Janma Digvidya Mashivasrayam. A face not having Bhasma applied, a village not having a Shiva temple, a life without Shivachana, and any study without encompassing the greatness of Shiva are a waste, say the Upanishads. Ye Bhasmadaranam Tyaktva Karma Kurvanti Manava Tesham Nasti Vinirmoksha Samsara Janma Kotibihi. Brihajabala Upanishad stresses the point that whoever does anything good would yield good results if only he bears Bhasma on his body. He will not get salvation from the cycle of births and deaths even after 1,000,000 births if he does not wear Bhasma. Kalagni Rudra Upanishad mantra Tiryak Tsiro Reka Prakurvita. Bhasma has to be applied in 3 lines across the face. Brihajabala Upanishad Manastoketi Matrena Mantritam Bhasmadarayat. This mantra ordains that Bhasma has to be applied rendering Manastoketi mantra. Bodhayana Kalpam and Dharma Shastras. Adatto Dvijatinam Aharaha Tripundra Vidivyak Yasammo Bhutyaya Pramadi Tavyamiti Haimnyate. In Bodhayana Kalpam, it is stated that twice born are those who are authorized to chant Gayatri mantra and have to wear Bhasma every day and not neglect it. Bharadwaja Smriti Tiruk Tripundra Vidina Lalate Rudaye Gale Drutva Agnehotraje Naina Bhasmana Tuprasanadi Panchabir Brahma Birvapi Kritanabasi Tenacha Drutame Tat Tripundram Syat Sharvakarma Susdanam Ato Agni Hotraje Naina Basmana Natu Tripundrakam Nityam Dvijo Aramedena Kurayath Karma Vivrudahye Anayadaha Sharvakarmani Saphalantikandachana. The Bharadvaja Smriti says that a person with pure mind should apply in 3 lines Bhasma, born from fire daily on his face, his heart, and his neck, chanting the Panchabrahma mantras, i.e. Sajojatam, 2. Varnadevaya Namo, 3. Akorebhyo, 4. Tatpurushaya Vidmahe, 5. Ishanasharva Vidyanam, while performing all actions or karmas to get more favorable and good results, otherwise those actions will not yield fruit. Maharishi Katyana Smriti Sradeyejne Yape Homme Vaishvadeve Shuruchane Drutam Tripundram Putatma Mrutyunjayate Manavaha Tripundram Yadea Drutvatu Yat Karma Tadvrudha. The Katyana Smriti says that a person offering food to his ancestors i.e. performing sradam, or performing yagna to please celestial gods, or doing japam, or chanting the mantra of this Istadevata, or offering ghee or homam to the god of fire, or performing Vaishvedavam, or performing any other puja for pleasing the celestial gods, i.e. vratams, kalyanams, etc., by applying bhasma on his face, becomes a deserving, righteous, saint-like person, and wins over death, and all his above actions will yield the desired results. But without applying bhasma, all these actions performed are a waste. Maharishi Satatapa Smruti Satyam Shaucham Japahomam Tirtvam Devadi Pujanam Tasya Vratamadi Vratamidam Sharvam Yartipundram Nadrarayat. The Satatapa Smruti says that truth, customs followed to please gods, chanting or mantras, offerings to Agni, i.e. the god of fire in Homam, visiting temples, and praying to the gods are all a waste without first wearing bhasma on one's body. Thus bhasmadama, or applying the white ash on the body of a person, is stated elaborately in almost all the Smrutis and Puranas. Shiva-tattva sudanidhi udhulanam tripundram cha shradayan acharanti yetai samarcharitam sharvam viparitam nasamasyaha brahmananda mahyam dharma ya tripundrasya dharanam mantradyanadai samuktam naiva varnantarsyutu brahmanaveda mantrenam tripundram avakuntanam rudra lingarchanam chaiva mahanapi nasantyayet. Whoever does not apply bhasma with diligence and attention daily on his body will encounter obstacles in all his actions in life, and therefore should not under any circumstances forget wearing bhasma and worshipping Shiva in linga form. Dvijas should wear bhasma with Veda mantras, otherwise simply chanting Panchakshari. Shiva Tattva Sudha Nidhi Panchakshara Japam Bhasma Snanam Lingarchanam Trayam Kadachidapi Natyajyam Yadha Shakti Samacharet Buddhyavo Dulanam Tiryak Tripundrasya Chadaranam Naiva Pramaditavyam Vibramatapi Kadachanna. Continuing, Shiva Tattva Sudanidhi says that chanting the Panchakshari mantra Namah Shivaya, application of bhasma on the body, and worshipping of Shiva in linga shape, these three important deeds should be performed daily according to one's own ability and balance of convenience, but should not be left out due to forgetfulness, or otherwise under any circumstances. Shiva Tattva Sudanidhi thus ordains that these three important deeds should be performed at all costs, albeit one is in the midst of happiness or sorrow, or otherwise held up at any place. Sutta Samhita Tripundram Daraye Nityam Gruhastashrama Masrittaha Jabuliki Sruti Darayet Bhikshukko Nityan Mat Yamiti. Sutta Samhita ordains that a grihastha or householder, or one having a wife and children, should wear bhasma. Jabalasruti says that a mendicant also should daily wear bhasma on his body. Sutta Samhita Udhulanam Tripundrancha Yaisada Charitam Muda Tayava Shisita Diista Vidvamsho Netare Mudipungava. Whoever performs bhasma snana and does bhasmadharana daily, he alone is a distinguished, learned, and wise man, and others are not, says Sutta Samhita, and the Puranas abound with a number of stories on this point. Tripunda dharana ye bhaktya manasape langayet srutya vidayate yasmatat tyagi pattital bhavet. Continuing, Sutta Samhita further says that bhasmadharana has to be performed daily with devotion, and whoever neglects it becomes a sinner and falls from the grace of God. So pratyavayam, or the result of not wearing bhasma, is also stated. So bhasmadharana is a nityavidi, or a daily ritual, and should not be neglected under any circumstances. Parashara Purana Bhasmanda Veda Siddhyanna Tripundram Deha Kuntanam Rudralingarchanam Chapimohato Vapinarkajet. Bhasmadharana, which is ordained by the Vedas, as also Lingacharana, should not be neglected under delusion, embarrassment, or confusion of the mind, says Parashara Purana. Delusion of the mind prevents one from discerning the truth. Kuma Purana. Tripundram Brahmano Vidvan Manasappe Lalangayat Shrutya Vidiyate Yasmatatyagi Pattito Bhavit. Even a wise and learned man should not neglect Bhasmadharana unconsciously, because Bhasmadharana is ordained by the Vedas, and whoever neglects consciously or unconsciously becomes a sinner. Vayu Samhita Bhutta Preta Pisachadya Ragaschattiva Dussaha Bhasmanistasya Sanidhya Dvidravanti Sasamsayaha. Ghosts, departed souls, and devils, unbearable diseases, are running away undoubtedly from the presence of the person wearing bhasma on his face, says the Vayu Samhita. So the authority for wearing bhasma is shown in Samhitas also. Mahabharatam Anusanika Parvam, Classics. Rakshardam Mangalardancha Pavitrardancha Brahmini Lanchanardancha Bhakatanam Bhasmadatam Mayapura. It is stated in Mahabharatam that bhasma is given as protection for enjoying all good things in life, for purity and for the devotee's satisfaction of the worldly things, so that they can concentrate on the ultimate reality in life. In Shiva Rahasya Kandam, one of the 50 parts of Skanda Mahapurna, Bhasmadharana is stated in detail and ordained as a daily ritual. Birajabalam Sharva Papanasako Moksha Hetuhu Mukti Pralakat Vattaha Sarvasista Anustitaha. In Brihad Jabalopanishad, it is stated that Bhasmadharana redeems all souls from the cycles of births and deaths and ensures salvation, and is dutifully followed by all wise and learned men. All the celestial gods, including Indra, Vishnu, and other devatas, wear bhasma. It is specifically stated in all Purnas that Angirasa Maharishi and all other Maharishis wear bhasma. Rama Rahasyopanishad Ramam Trinitram Somarda Dharinam Sulinam Param. It is stated in this Upanishad that Sri Ram, the king of Ayodhya, smeared bhasma all over his body and prayed to Lord Shiva. Harivamsham, Classic. Bhashya Tripundro Basitai Sitassun Mouni Jatiyavalkalavan Mukundaha. In Harivanisham, it is described that Lord Krishna, wearing garments made of a bark tree and with a glowing face, with bhasma applied all over his body, in the midst of Saptarishis, i.e. 7 rishis, and Maharishi Rubu and Nidaga, all of them also having smeared their bodies with bhasma, performed Ruchi Panchami Vratam to please Shiva. Brihajabalam 1. Tatra Samvartaka Arunispeta Ketu Durvasa Rubhu Nidaga Jadabharata Dattatreya Ravataka Busunda Prabhotayo Vibhuti Dharana Devamuktaha. Brihajabalopanishad says that by Bhasmadharana alone, Maharishi Samvartaka, Aruni, Fetaketu, Durvasha, Rubha, Nidagha, Jadabharta, Dattatreya, Ravataka, Basunda attained moksha or salvation. Therefore, Bhasmadharana is confirmed as a sure way to attain moksha by all these great learned scholars. 2. Nityatvat Bhasmastaryam. 3. Nityoyam Dharma Brahmanam Ayam. That Bhasmadharana is to be done daily by all and by Brahmana to protect Dharma is also stated in these 2 mantras. Kalpasutra Bodhyana Adatva Dvijatinam Aharaham Tripundra Vidhim. Bodhayana Kalpasutra says that Bhasmadharana should be done by the twice-born or Dvijas daily. Brihajabalopanishad 1. Yetad akarani pratya vaiti brahmanaha dharmamultaha basmasandrahyam. 2. Brahmada tyaktva nagayatrim jappe najuhu yadagna na tarpaye devan rushinsha Pitrun. Brahajabalapanishad further says that Gayatri mantra should not be chanted without applying bhasma on the body. Similarly, homam, or offering ghee in fire, should not be done, or tarpanam, i.e., presenting libations of water or cow milk to devatas, rishis, and manis of the deceased ancestors, i.e., pitru tarpanam, should not be done. This mantra stresses the importance of wearing bhasma before performing all these actions. Bhavisyat Puranam Mahopadhyayasivayogi Yuktova Sarva Patakai Bhasmasnana Nishevena Muchyate Sharvapatakai. The Bhavishyat Purana says that those persons who have committed great sins will be absolved of all their heinous deeds if they perform bhasmasnana, or bathing in bhasma water and smearing bhasma on their bodies. Kalpa Sutra of Satatapa. Madhyam pitva guru dharamcha gatva svarna steyam krutva brahma hatyam charitva basmachchano basmasayasayano rudrayayi muchyate sharvapapai. In Satatapa Kalpa Sutra, it is stated that whoever chants Rudrayayam, or properly known as Namaka Chamakam, enshrined in the middle of Yajurveda mantras, smearing his body with bhasma and sitting on a mat sprinkled with bhasma, will get rid of all his sins. Therefore, it is established beyond all doubt that bhasma dharana is very important. Chapter 4. Rudraksha Prasasti, or the greatness of wearing Rudraksha. Sloka 9. Sruti smruti vatannascha purana vihitatvataha mukti padan nityatvat sistaicha anusti tatvataha. Sloka 10. Sharva mantra japarhaksha mukyatvat akshi janmataha darya sada dvijay bhaktya rudraksha palamalika. Sloka 11. Svetanam vihitat vepi tatadlabhe paraniva darya niguna lopetcha mukya setyukta sasanat. The author, after eulogizing the greatness and infinite power a person gets on smearing his body with bhasma, is now telling in these 3 slokas the greatness of wearing the Rudraksha Malika, or Rudraksha beads, having 1 to 16 faces, and grown on trees in the Himalayan ranges in Bharatvarsh. The wearing of Rudraksha as a chain around the neck is ordained by all Vedas and Srutis. All scholars well versed in Vedas, Dvija or twice born, and others wear Rudrakshas with devotion. Brihajabalam and Rudraksha Jabalam. Tatra yadastanam basmana tripundrum svete naiva drutva rudrakshan svetan bibruyan tatra samarsaha. One has to wear a white Rudraksha Malika after Bhasma Dharana at 6 appointed places on the body of a person. Harita Smriti. Shankar Rapyamayi Mala Kanchanibi Radot Palahi Padmaksharapi Rudrakshayir Vidrumai Manimak Muktikai. A japa malika, or a chain of beads for prayer, should be made of conch shell, golden beads or silver beads, or pearls, or utpal or lotus flower beads, or rudraksha beads. Gautama Smriti. Padmakshay dasalakshantu sauvarnai kotirichyate kusagrandyat Rudrakshair anata phala muchate. Gautama Smriti, while discussing the efficacy of various japa malikas, says that a japa malika made of lotus beads is superior by 1,000,000 times, and a golden one by 1,000,000 times. But a japamala made by darbamudi, or tied with sacred grass and rudrakshas, is infinitely superior to ordinary ones. Skanda Purana. Lakshakoti sahasrasya lakshakoti satasya cha japecha labate punyam natra karya vicharana uchistova vikarmasta samyukta sharvapatakahi lipyatena sa papena rudraksyasyato dharanath kantye rudraksyasmala yadrutva tam kriyate yed sopi rudratva mapnoti kim punmanus yadayaha. One gets immense good or punya karma by doing japam, wearing a rudraksha malika. By wearing a rudraksha malika and doing japam, it protects the doer from any shortcomings or karma lopa in his actions, and it becomes equal to rudra. Bhaktihino attava bhakto murko murkataropiva rudraksham daryadyasum mudyate patakairayam mahavratamidam rahurmona munyastat padarsanaha Rudraksha dharanam punyam kenava sadrusham bhatvet. Even if a person is a blockhead or not devoted, by just wearing rudraksha beads around his neck, all his sins vanish. So said the great thinkers, adding, who can evaluate the greatness of rudraksha dharana phalam, which is incomparable with any other good deed or action done? Brahma Kaivarta Puranam Kim Suktair Bahubi Samantakamidam Svayange Sadadarakaha Samsaram Naha Punaha Prayahati Manujavakshenana Vadyatava Rudraksha Druma Pushpa Palava Pala Sprusta Nila Sparsanat Durasta Varavastrunan Yapilatyam Thyaksha Yam Tatphalam Mukti Pradatvat Nityatvat Ityadi. Whoever wears regularly the rudraksha on his body does not get rebirth and gets moksha. Even the trees and flowers far away getting the breeze from the rudraksha beads get great punyam. Rudraksha bharana is sacred and gives moksha and therefore should be worn on the body of the person daily. Ruhajalabalam Kim nityam brahmanam karma kartyam yadastanam basamana tripundram svetena rudraksha svetava asvetavanai tatra samarsaha rudraksha sistair anustitattvataha. Brihajabala Upanishad says that it is the duty of every twice-born or dvijas to wear bhasma and rudraksha daily, even if the rudrakshas are white in color or otherwise. Great Maharishis, even the Brahma Manasaputra Sanaka, Sananda, Sanat Kumara, Sanat Sujata, and Nidago Kityayana, Dattatreya, Bhadwaja, Kapila Paipalada, Vasista, etc., where Rudraksha and Rudraksha Jabala Upanishad eulogizes them for wearing Rudraksha on their person. Padma Purana Dharamagira Ramaha Punya Godavari Tate Bhutti Bushishtastarvango Rudraksha Barnair Yutam. In Padma Purana, Sri Ram is described as having worn bhasma and rudrakshas on his person while staying at Mount Chitrakoot on the banks of the sacred river Godavari. Sutta Samhita. Rushtayom Ruddhava Svastaha Sharva Dvandva Vivarnita Rudraksham Balavarana Sitbasam Vakunititaha. In Sutta Samhita, it is stated that the rishis were having peace of mind, perfect harmony, no worries, and no twofold minds, only by wearing bhasma and rudrakshas on their person. Akshamalikopanishad. Sharva mantra japar aksha mukhayatvat. In Akshamalikopanishad, it is stated that all mantras can be chanted effectively with the help of rudraksha beads, which are important. Pravala muktika spaktika rajatasta pada chandana putra jivikabja rudrakshaha padmaksha tulasikasta rudraksha krutamalaya. Japa malikas made of corals, pearls, crystals, silver, gold, sandalwood, and rudraksha beads are used for chanting all mantras, while lotus, tulasi, and rudraksha are used for chanting other mantras. Therefore, rudraksha beads are used for chanting all mantras. The point made out is that tulasi beads are not included for chanting all mantras. Rudraksha Jabalam. Akshi Janmataha Dvijay Rudraksha Falamalika Bhaktya Darya Adahanam Bhagavatam Kalagni Rudram Vasundaha Papracha Kadham Rudrakshapati Stadaranat Kim Phalamiti Tam Hovacha Sa Bhagavan Kalagni Rudraha Pura Tripura Vadyayon Nijtakshoham Te Bhojala Bindavo Bhumo Patitaste Rudraksha Jata Sharvanugraha Tesham Namochcharana Matrena Dasa Satta Godana Phalam Bhavati Darasana Spasanabhyam Dviguna Phalam Bhavati Atta Urdhvam Vakum Nasaknomi. Rudraksha and Jabalopanishad states the origin or creation of Rudrakshas, Busanda, a great Shiva Bhakta, asked Kalagni Rudra the origin and effect of wearing Rudrakshas on the body. Kalagni Rudra said that when he opened his third eye along with the other two eyes at the time of destruction of the three Rakshasas called Triparashuras, water flowed from his two eyes due to the heat developed from the third eye and fell on the ground, and Rudraksha trees sprouted out for the good of all. So they are born from Rudra's three akshas, i.e. three eyes, and hence rightly called Rudra Aksha. The very chanting of the word Rudraksha gives the devotees the effect of gifting 1,000 cows, i.e. Sahasra Godana Phalam Bhavati. The very look or touch of them gives double the effect, and effect of wearing them cannot be described in words. The Dharma Shukshmam here is, as the eye is the most important of all organs of the body, Sharvendriyanam Nayanam Pratanam. Rudrakshas born from Rudras or Shiva's eyes is more sacred and should primarily be worn by all with adoration. Svetanam vihitat vepi tadalabhe paraniva ukta sasanath daryani Rudrakan svetan bibaruyan atartra samarsaha. Though white Rudrakshas are preferable, Rudrakshas of all colors can be worn on the body as it is ordained by the Vedas, and one need not be selective in choosing rudrakshas of a particular color. Shiva Puranam. Vipradinam kramatsvetam pitam raktamadha sitam tadalabheyadhalabham dharaniya madushitam. Shiva Puranam says clearly that rudrakshas of white, green, red, and black colors can be worn respectively by Brahmins, Vaishyas, Kshatriyas, and Sudras if they are available accordingly. Otherwise, any color of rudrakshas can be worn by all, so wearing of rudraksha is important and is ordained by all the scriptures. Chapter 5. Lingadharana Prasasti, or the greatness of wearing the linga on the body. In the next 4 slokas, the author is eulogizing the greatness of wearing the linga on the body of the person and worshipping Shiva in linga shape, popularly called as Lingadharana Upasana. Sloka 12. Sharvalingam stapayatiti srutya vihitatvataha Bahumantranu gitatva adavada paristute. Sloka 13. Vihi tatvat sharva vedeshu uktatva kalpa keshvapi dharma shastreshu bahuda katitatva samantataha. Sloka 14. Itihasa purabhyam stutva nityata srute vimukti phalatvakskat sistasha anushti tatvata. Sloka 15. Lingadharanakam namavratam sambhava sabditami anusteyam mukti Kami sruti pramanya buddhibi. The meaning of these 4 slokas is given first, followed by the authoritative quotations from the Vedas and Upanishads, etc., mentioned by the author in these slokas. Meaning of Sloka 12. Vedas or Srutis ordained that Shiva Linga has to be installed upon the body of those worshipping Shiva. Lingadharana Vratam has to be observed daily. Because the scriptures have stated this in various mantras, Lingadharana Vratam, i.e. wearing of the linga on the body of the person, has to be observed daily, i.e. throughout one's lifetime. Meaning of Sloka 13. All the Vedas decreed the performance of Shiva Linga Puja as a daily ritual and not as a one-time affair, and also stated in so many words in various Kalpasutras and eulogized a number of times in the Dharma Shastras. Therefore, Lingadharana Vratam has to be observed daily. Meaning of Sloka 14. All the classical texts and Puranas glorify and praise the Vedas, proclaiming Lingacharana, or worshipping Shiva in linga form, for redeeming the soul from the cycle of births and deaths, as is stated in the Vedas, is observed and followed in this country from times immemorial. Therefore, Lingadharana Vratam has to be observed daily. Meaning of Sloka 15. This Lingadharana Namaka Vratam, or ritual, is also known as Sambhava Vratam, Sira Vratam, Pashupata Vratam, or Lingadharana Diksha, and has to be observed by all devotees having faith in the Shrutis or Vedas and desiring salvation or mukti. The author stresses the essence Bharata Samskruti in these 4 slokas. The Sanskrita word Sharva means Shiva or Rudra, because Shruti says Sharvavai Rudra. Therefore, Sharvalingam means Shivalingam, which has to be installed on the body of a person and worshipped. Shruti Mantra. At the time of worshipping in the Shiva temple, we find that the following mantras are inevitably stated before or during archana to the linga. Om Nidana Patye Namaha Nidana Patanti Kaya Namaha Om Urdhvaya Namaha Urdhva Lingaya Namaha. Om Hiranyaya Namaha Hiranya Lingaya Namaha. Om Shurvanaya Namaha Shurvalingaya Namaha. Om Divyaya Namaha Divyalingaya Namaha. Om Bhavaya Namaha Bhavalingaya Namaha. Om Sirvaya Namaha Sirvalingaya Namaha. Om Shivaya Namaha Shivalingaya Namaha. Etatsamasya suryasya sharvalinga gusta patyeti panimantram pavritram. These Shruti mantras say that Shiva is identified as the Brahman or root cause of the universe in the core of the sun god and has to be worshipped in linga shape or ellipsoidal form, installing the same on the body of the person worshipping. This linga is the root cause of all creation, sustenance and destruction of the universe. The Sanskrit phrase stapayeti in the mantra, even if understood simply as to install or keep in a place, the question arises where to keep and worship the linga, as stated by this mantra. Has the linga to be placed on the ground, or a seat or platform called pitam, or on the body of the person worshipping the linga? Of all these three places, for the person worshipping, who is the karta doing lingacharana, his body is nearer to him, and therefore this mantra clearly ordains that the linga shall be placed on the body of the person and worshipped. The question then arises is as to on which part of the body the linga has to be placed. This mantra clears that doubt also. In Sanskrit grammar, the rule is sandigeshu vakya shishath, meaning in case of doubt, the sloka has to be understood with the last word in the sloka. The word pani in this mantra clearly indicates that the linga shall be placed in his hand and worshipped. Again, which hand is no problem, because undoubtedly it is the left hand, because service of puja has to be done only with the right hand, or dakshina hastam. Hence the left hand, or varna hastam, is used for other cleaning purposes. The devotee may still linger doubts as to its acceptability for placing the linga on the left hand. The Shruti mantra clears this doubt also, saying, Pavritram, or sacred, meaning the linga is sacred and can be worn at all times. Who else can clear the doubts except Shruti? Some may argue that the meaning for the word panimantram may be taken as protecting a person by keeping linga in the hand and worshipping. In that case, the significance for stating pani in the mantra gets lost, because anywhere in the world the chanting of the mantra is done by the mouth and worshipping is done by the hand. By ascribing the above meaning and stating again that the linga has to be worshipped by hand, the meaning gets lost and interpretation not accepted as correct by any teacher of mantra shastra. The author therefore emphatically stresses in these 4 slokas above that the Shiva linga has to be worshipped placing the same on the body of the person himself, in his left hand, and nowhere else. This is the straightforward and clear meaning of this mantra in the question above. So worship of the linga placing in the hand is of the highest form, and other forms are only secondary. Shruti mantra. Amrutasya devadarano bhuyasam. The Shruti mantra clearly says that for salvation, or getting amrutatvam, also meaning redeeming the soul from the cycle of births and deaths, one should wear linga on his body. The word Devadharana means Shiva Linga Dharana, because Shiva is known as Mahadeva among Devas. The word Deva applies only to Shiva. Shiva is also called Amruta or Mrutyunjaya, or one who conquered death, and worship of Mrutyunjaya only can save a man from death. Shruti Mantra, Mahanarayanopanishad, 7th Anuvakam. Namo Brahmane Dharanam Me Astva Nirakaranam Durayita Buryasam. The Shruti mantra unambiguously and more clearly says salutations to Brahma or Shiva. May I wear his linga on my body, and may I continue to wear the linga without rejecting and worship throughout my life. Dharma means linga dharana, only of the Brahman, the ultimate reality. Narayanopanishad is eulogizing Shiva only. These Veda mantras clearly call upon the devotee to wear Lord Shiva in linga rupa or shape on his body and worship daily. Again, the above Shruti mantras starting from Nidhanatpathyen Namaha to Yetat Somasya Sunyasya speak of the greatness of the linga of his choice, made of gold crystal, etc., worn by the devotee on his body, and the rest of the words in the mantra speak of linga dharana. This entire mantra is intended to be chanted by persons wearing a linga on their body and worshipping daily. The author says that all the 4 Vedas ordain Shiva Linga Puja by wearing the linga on the body of a person. Rig Veda Mantra, Pavitram te vitatam brahmanaspate Prabhurgatrani paryeshi visvataha atapta tanurna tadamosnute. This Rig Veda mantra says, O Lord Shiva, you are protecting your chosen devotees by residing on their bodies in linga shape and making them sacred at all times. Those persons on whom your grace does not fall cannot wear your linga. Therefore, this Rig Veda mantra clearly ordains linga dharana on the body of a person. That is why in Andhra Pradesh and other places in this sacred country, those wearing linga on their bodies are called Aradhyas, or persons fit to be worshipped by all. Yajurveda mantra, Pratamastaka Charamapanam. Soma Rudra Yuva Metanyasmai Vishwatanuga Beshajani Dattam Avasyatam Munchatam Tanu Astu Tanuga Baddham Kritam Me Asmata. This Yajurveda mantra ordains linga dharana, but to explain this mantrartham, it is necessary to quote a few more authoritative mantras on linga dharana diksha and Saiva Siddhanta to understand this Veda mantra fully. A. Shivena saha sambandham shaivam mityabhidiyate. This mantra says that a Shaivite is one who has connection with Shiva at all times. B. Na rudro rudra machayet. C. Rudro bhutva yejed rudram. These 2 mantras say that one who becomes a Rudra first can only worship Rudra. One may say that by performing Mahayasham he is worshipping Shiva, but this is only a temporary ritual performed for a particular occasion. Shivatvam should be obtained permanently to worship Shiva at all times as per the Veda mantras. It is stressed that one should have Yavajiva Shivatvam and Yavajiva Shivardhana. This is possible only by taking a vow for life, by taking on linga dharana and taking Shaiva Mahadiksha. The Chandrajnana Shivagamam explains Shaiva Mahadiksha in the following sloka. Chandrajnanam. Yadagamanta visranta dikshatraha susobitam angatritaya sambandha lingatraya vajratritam Vishishtam astavaranai pancharabhi manditam varnasramiya dharmadhyam shatsalajna jnana samyutam saddaya pasyakshakarya karma jnana samuchayam jagadguru adhikrut Vitam Sharva Vidya Samanvitam. This Chandrajnana Shivagama mantra explains the Shaiva Mahadiksha in full. The Shaiva Mahadiksha consists of taking 3 dikshas called Veda Diksha, Manu Diksha, and Kriya Diksha, for cleaning the body of 3 bad matters or malams called Anava, Mayika, and Karmika, affecting 3 bodies or sarirams called Sthula, Shukshumna, and Karana, and having connection with 3 lingas called Ishta, Bhava, and Pranalingas. Following the Vedic customary guidelines prescribed for brahmachari, grihastha, and vanaprastha, etc., and identifying one with the Brahman or Shiva at Bhakta, Maheshvara, Prasadi, Pranalingi, Sarana, and Ekya, shtalas or places, getting rid of the worldly bonds and scrupulously performing Shiva Puja by observing Vibhuti or Bhasma, Rudraksha, mantra, i.e. Panchakshari, Guru, or teacher, Linga, Jangama, i.e. Shiva Bhakta, Padatirtha, and Shiva Prasadam, and observing the Shaiva customs called Lingachara, Sadachara, Shivachara, Ganachara, Brityachara, called 5 acharas or customs respectively, and following with equal devotion whatever is stated in the Vedas and Agamas on performing Shiva Puja, and following simultaneously karma and jnana margas, or ways in worshipping Shiva. Such a person is called a Shaivite, and he alone has the right to proclaim himself or become Jagat Guru and not others. Again, to understand the Shivadvaita philosophy in full, one has to add Vishishta to spell as Vishishta Shivadvaitam. Vishishtancha Vishishtancha Vishiste Tayoradvitam Vishishtadvitam. Here, Vishishta does not simply mean superior, it means Brahman, another name for Shiva himself, in unison with Shakti as stated below. Shakti Shivascha Satjabda Prakruti Pratyayodike Tau Brahma Samarasyena Samsta Jagadatmaka. In this sloka, Sat Sabdam means Prakriti or Shakti, and Pratyam is Shiva. Prakriti or Shakti and Purusha or Shiva are both represented in the Linga as Pitam and Linga portion respectively, and their union is called Brahma. Again, between Shakti and Shiva, Shakti is adjective and Shiva is noun. Mayanto Prakrutim Vidyat Mayinto Maheshwaram. This Svateshvatara mantra says that Prakriti, or Maya, or magic, is controlled by Shiva, and therefore Shiva is Shakti Vishishta, or superior to Shakti. Now coming back to the great Yajurveda mantra stated above, it is addressed such a Shaivite wearing a Shiva Linga, having Shakti and Shiva in unison in the Linga on his body. This mantra is invoking Shakti and Shiva having Agora and Gora bodies, called as Soma and Rudra respectively, and residing in the Linga in 3 forms, Ishta, Prana, and Bhava, to redeem the person of his sins, called the Anava, Mayika, and Karmika malams, or bad matters in the Sthula, Shukshma, and Karana sharirams, or bodies. So this Yajurveda mantra is clearly ordaining Lingadharana on the body of a person, Ishta, Prana, Bhava Lingadharana on Sthula, Shukshma, and Karana sarirams, or bodies of the Karta. Yajurveda mantra. Triambakam yajamahe sugandim pusti vardhanam uvarkam iva bandhanam mrutyur mukshya mamrutat. This Yajurveda mantra in the middle of Rudrayam is also ordaining Lingadharana. The word Triamkam Yajamahe means, may I have connection or link with Shiva at all times so that I can get rid of worldly bonds, just like a cucumber getting separated painlessly from the creeper to attain eternal bliss with salvation. This mantra is called Triambaka mantra, and a whole book is written on this great mantra by various scholars. A devotee is blessed by a true and correct understanding of this great mantra by manasa, vacha, karmana, i.e. by mind, word, and action. Samaveda mantram, Jayagishya Sakka, Sadanandopanishad, Antardharana Sakto Nahasakto Vadvijotmaha Samskrutya Guru Nadatam Saiva Lingam Murstale Daryam Viprena Mukyardamevam Vedanta Vido Vadanti. This Sadhanapanishad sloka says that those learned scholars, well-versed in Vedanta philosophy, are saying that all twice-born persons capable or not capable of concentrating on God in their minds in linga shape should wear a Shiva linga on their breast, duly consecrated by the teacher or guru, and tied around the neck of the shishya or the taught, and Panchakshari mantra given by him in the right ear of the devotee for his salvation. This Samaveda mantra clearly and in a straightforward way is ordaining lingadharana on the body of the devotee. Atharvana Veda Ishvara Shakka Yova Mahastapita Lingamekam Parparam Darayate Vipraksiryova Tatsyaiva Alabhya Parameshvaro Sauniranjanam Paramam Mupaiti Divyam. It is only that person, whether a Brahmin or a Kshatriya, or anyone who by wearing a linga on his body and placing the same in his left hand and doing Shivacharana, he alone becomes eligible to become one with God, says the Atharvana Veda mantram. This lingadharana is shown in all the four Vedas, and the person following the dictates of the Vedas gets Vedic respectability, and the author is now proceeding to give authoritative quotations in Kalpashastra, Agamas, and Puranas. Bodhayana Gruha Paristam Kalpasutram Adatto Dvijati Namadeha Patam Mahapasu Pata Diksham Vrakyasya Maha Vratametat Pasupatam Sharva Vedavadeshu Vedavadai Biruktam Bhavati Tatsamachare Diti Hyam Yayete. Bodhayana Kalpa Sutra says that in all the four Vedas, the twice-born were ordained to observe Pashupata Vratam. It is also stated by learned Vedic scholars and also in other Kalpa Sutras and Dharma Shastras that Pashupata Vratam, i.e. Lingadharana, should be observed. The 28 Agama Shastras, particularly the Charajnana Shivajamam, Karanangamam, Karanottara Shivajamam, have specifically stated Lingadharana and worship Shiva in linga shape, placing the same on the body of the person. Gautama Smruti Mantra Mukhe Mantram Hrudidyanam Mastake Lingadharanam Sikha Sutram Tadabhasma Hetat Brahmana Lakshanam. This Gautama Smruti mantra says that he alone is Brahman who chants Panchakshari mantra, Namah Shivaya by mouth, prays Lord Shiva in his heart, and wears linga on his head, has shika or the sacred hair on the back of his head, has applied bhasma on his body, and wears the sacred thread. Shiva Purana Tada Vedanta Vakyeshu Lingadharana Miryate Vedotame Yeja Vedetatereve Vishashataha Mokshardina Mukti Hetur Lingadharana Muchate Chandobya Sharva Vedib Yomruta Shambhabhuvahi. Shiva Purana says that Linga Dharana is narrated for those desirous of salvation in Vedanta Vakyams at various places, particularly in Yajurveda, considered foremost among Vedas. Taittiriya Shaka. Shiva is extolled as the root cause of this universe by all Vedas, whose teachings are considered as of permanent value. Indrashtu Pramaiswarasyali Shamba Trilochanaha Mamedava Pragnadyachya Srunotu Prenya Yatvada Amrustaya Moksha Rupasya Sharva Vedeshu Sharvadha Devesya linga rupasya shivasya paramatmanaha dharana tadrutriya smats devadharana ishyete. Shiva, the affluent and wealthiest of all in this universe, having 3 eyes, protect and strengthen me at all times. He who is worshipped in Linga Rupa to grant moksha, or relieve the person from human bondage, the wearing of that Linga Rupa on the body of a person is called Linga Dharana. This Shiva Purana Vachanam is thus recollecting the meaning contained in the earlier quoted Vedantram. Amrutasya devadharano boyasyam. Brahmanda Purana. Namosu Brahmane Tubhaya Macharya Mahatmane Anirakharame Astu Dharanam Deshikotama Veda Shastra Puraneshu Prasidham Karnyo Srutam Aham Darayita Devam Bhuyasam Sharvakaranam. Brahmanda Purana offers salutations to Shiva, the Brahman, and to the teacher, or Deshika, who has given the Linga and Panchakshari mantras and initiated the Shishya to Lingadharana Diksha. The devotee is worshipping the Deshika, or the Guru, saying that he is wearing Shiva, the root cause of this universe, in the great Linga Rupa, and that he may wear the Linga uninterruptedly and worship Shiva throughout his lifetime. Linga Purana. Yajurapyaha Sharvamba Lingastapayatitacha Tasmataryam Lingam Pani Mantreti Mantritaha Panalingam Vinikshipya Dikshakale Guru Shivam Yena smarati tam mantram pane mantram vadantihi pavitratvan maheshasya shivsha pratipadanat pavitrikaranat pumsham pavitramiti kadyate. This Linga Purana sloka is explaining the Yajurveda mantra, ordaining Lingadharana on the body of the devotee and placing the same in his hand and doing worship. The significance of the word Panimantram is more clearly explained here. The entire cosmos encircling the visible and invisible universe represented by Linga is worn by the devotee. Such a great lingam called Mahalingam is purified and placed in the left hand of the Shishya or the devotee by the Guru or Deshika by invoking the Vedic hymn or sacred prayer, Panimantram Pavitram, at the time of the initiation of the devotee into the Shaiva Mahadiksha. That is why the lingam is sacred or Pavitram on 3 counts, namely 1. By its consecration, 2. By invoking the sacred name of Shiva, 3. By purification of the devotee by Veda mantras, and therefore should be worn at all times like the holy thread worn at the time of Upanayanam. Linga Puranam. Brahmeti linga makyatyam brahmanapatirishwaraha pavitram tadi vikyatam tat samparkatanushiji rugityaga pavitrante vitatam brahmanaspate tasmat pavitram talingam darya shaiva manamayam adapta tanurajo vahyama samsakara varjitaha dikshayarahita shakshan napnuya lingan muttamam. This Linga Purana sloka says that Brahman, by another name, is called Linga, and the lord of the Linga is Shiva. Lingam is sacred, and by its very contact, the body of the person becomes pure and sacred. That is why the Rig Veda mantra says the lingam is sacred, and the person wearing the linga is also pure and sacred. Pavitram te vitatam brahmanaspate. Therefore, such a linga associated with Shiva, the embodiment of eternal happiness, is fit to be worn on the body. Only the weak, the unintelligent, the incredulous, the uninitiated, and of dubious and doubtful mind will not be able to wear that great and precious linga on their bodies. Shankara Samhita 1. Lingasya dharanam punyam sharvapapa pranasanam adrutam munibhisharvajhi nigamardad visaradaihi istalingamidam shakshadanista pariharakam dharayet avadenena lingam tadguru narpitam. The wearing of linga is punyam, or virtue, and all sins are burnt and washed away. Rishis and learned Vedic scholars have all endeared the Ishtalinga given by the Guru, an embodiment of Shiva himself, as capable of driving away all bad effects, and are wearing the linga with great care on their bodies. Shankara Samhita 2. Tadeva hastam bhuja pitta madhye nidaya lingam paramatma chinnam prapujayed akadiyopacharirnarastu bhayantara bede binahi bhaya pittarchanad etetkara pittarchanam varam. This Shankara Samhita mantra is further eulogizing Shivarchana, keeping the linga in the left hand and worshipping the linga, i.e., through linga dharana, stating that Kara Pitarchana, or keeping the linga in the lotus hand of the devotee and worshipping Shiva with undeterred mind, is far superior to worshipping the great Almighty, Shiva, in linga rupa, placing the same on a platform or pitam.